Welcome to Reconcilable Differences. I am excited to have you here with us tonight. We are in a series called, and yeah, we've turned Reconcilable Differences into a series time. Last week we had a question about sin. So we are on this topic of sin. You can be free. Okay? And so we're going to be doing part two of that question this week. So let's start with some of the highlights from last week. I gave some of the descriptions of sin. One of those things being the logs that were in my yard, which were still bearing fruit, although they were separated from the actual tree. And the rotted tree, which appeared to be whole on the outside, although it was burrowed on the inside. When you're looking at that tree before it was cut down, it looked like it was perfectly fine. It looked like it was okay. But after you cut that wood, you see that it was burrowed through, and then on other pieces of that wood that were cut, you notice that there were spots, which meant that that those spots had not yet been burrowed through, but they were on their way to being rotted from the inside out. So a lot of things appear to be whole from the outward appearance, but that doesn't necessarily make it the case that it is whole from the inside out. Okay. We also talked about how sin is disguised and masked while it is rotting you from the inside out. The necessity of pruning plants is what we discussed. And for that, we talked about how the Father does the pruning. We went to John 15. We talked about Yahushua being the vine and us being the branches, and the Father being the husbandman, meaning the farmer, the one who cares for the vine, prunes the branches which are bearing fruit, and takes away the branches which don't bear fruit. I'm encouraging you, if you didn't see last week's message, you need to go over there and check that out after I'm done. But we're going to give you a quick review, then we're going to get into today's lesson. We can do nothing apart from the vine. That's another thing that we talked about. Yahushua is that vine. We are the branches, and the Father is the husbandman. But apart from that vine, we can do nothing on our own. We can't bear fruit of ourselves, which we'll discuss in more depth just shortly today. Everything yields fruit after its own kind. We talked about that. You'll find that in Genesis and how the Father laid this order out in the very beginning. Everything bears fruit after its own kind. Okay. He made man in his likeness and image. That's after his kind. Adam's sin, and thus man, after Adam's sin, was produced after that kind. That was the seed that was produced. Then Yahushua comes on the scene, okay, and produces the seed, returns the seed back to its original state and makes it sin-free. The seed is inside. The seed of the Father is inside, and now we're back to the original state that we were in. Romans chapter 5, we talked about that. You can go there and get an overview on how we were made free, how by one man's sin entered into the world, that being Adam, and by one man dying, who was the Messiah, we were all in a position to be free. Okay. So I just wanted to go through a couple of things. If I take some more time, we'll go over way too long, and then we will not get to today's message. So I encourage you to go check out last week's message, and let's get you up to speed. Let's get popping here. I want to talk about Peter's warning. We left off last week with Paul's warning, but today we're going to talk about Peter's warning. 2 Peter chapter 2, we've talked about this before, but there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying Yahweh that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. What is this? False teachers speaks of the false ideas and concepts of false prophets and false teachers. This person is a pretender. This person is an imposter, someone who is a liar, someone who is deceitful, giving false or erroneous information. We have a lot of that in the earth right now. You have to be very careful, because this is one of the things that leads to sin. Listening to everything, being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. These are very important points. These bewares, the bewares that Yahushua gave, the bewares that Paul gave, the bewares that Peter is giving here. This reminded me of the scripture in Matthew 24, what Peter was saying here, verses 4 and 5. It said, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and shall deceive many." Well, what is this? They're not going to come on the scene to act like they are the Messiah. That's not what this is pushing. What they are saying is, I am the deliverer. I am the one that can make you free. I am the way to your freedom. I am the solution to your problem. I am the deliverer. Okay. So when we talk about privately bringing in damnable heresies, we're talking about undercover. This stuff is not forthright. It's deceitful. Okay. It's undercover. It's not something that's just blatant and outright. Look, I'm saying. No, the enemy comes as an angel of light. That's how Satan comes. He doesn't come with a big sign saying, hey, I'm a liar, follow me. He doesn't do things that way. He comes as an angel of light. He appears as something good so that you will follow that thing, even if it means he has to tell a little bit of truth to get you to follow him. But that is why you need to know the truth so that you'll be made free, so that you'll walk in freedom. Because if you don't know the truth, you'll just go along with whatever sounds good. Okay. We have talked about this before, so I'm not going to go too far with 2 Peter chapter 2. But those damnable heresies, this word damnable means causing ruin, destruction, and death. This could be physical. This could be literal. It could be figurative. It's also spiritual and also eternal. You got to be careful with this stuff. OK, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 3 said this, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you. We talked about this in the dating courtships broadcast the other week. And this whole thing is just talking about people making merchandise of you, making a profit off of you, but they're selling you the sizzle. I like that. I heard somebody say that not too long ago, and I was so excited about that, because that's exactly what it is. It's like going to a restaurant, having heard all the sound of the cooking, and they give you this container, but when you open it up, there's absolutely nothing in there. All you heard was the sound of the food cooking in the restaurant, but when you opened up your container and had paid for your food, you had absolutely nothing. They sold you on the sizzle, on the sound of the food cooking. Okay, are you with me? 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 3 again, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words. This word covetousness means through their greed. Okay, with feigned words will make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Yahweh knoweth how to deliver the reverent out of temptation. In other words, those of you who don't want to live in sin, he knows how to deliver you out of temptation. He has a solution for that, and we're going to get into that. But those who want to do their junk, he has reserved them. He's reserved the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. That means they ain't going to get away with it. Okay. Yahushua's warnings to his followers, there were a lot of bewares. His major beware when he walked this earth was beware of foreign doctrine. He said it, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. That's how he said it. That leaven is that contamination. Okay. Leaven is also known as yeast, which is a fungus, which puffs up the dough. You can put just a little tiny bit of yeast in some dough, and that whole lump of dough is humongous. Okay, that's all you need. He said, beware, be aware, pay attention, have your eyes open, look intently. Don't be sitting around sleeping. Pay attention. Beware of the leaven, the yeast, the fungus of the Pharisees, because that yeast of the Pharisees, that fungus, that leaven of the Pharisees is hypocrisy. Yeah, they'll tell you a bunch of stuff to do, but they won't with one finger move to do what they're supposed to do. Okay, so a lot of times they may have the right things to say, but because they're not following what they're saying, it makes it really difficult for you to receive what they're saying, because they can't take you anywhere they've never been. Sure, they can tell you some stuff, but that doesn't mean that they have any authority to help you get there. Okay. Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. That's Matthew chapter 16, verse 6. Mark chapter 13, again, in verse 22 through 23. Let's hear that. It says, for false messiahs and false prophets shall rise. This is a warning from the Messiah. He